Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash the subscribe button, turn on the notification so you get notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all, and I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you for all the support and love. You all are super awesome. Thank you so much. So today we'll be talking about something really very important because I just don't understand it, and I really do want to understand. And it's actually about a biracial lady. I mean, she is actually being canceled because she said she is not black. I mean, she is denying her black side and was telling people that she is mixed. And some people were like, being black is so demonized that people of color with elect to be called colored. It is better than being black, right? The truth is that colonizers do not still care if you say you are mixed, you say if you are colored or you are not black. You know what? Take this to the screen. Let me roll the clip, and you got to see where people are calling her out. So let me know what you all think in the comment section. So straight up, let me roll the clip.
Why is it Americans, especially mixed Americans, I'm finding, just have such difficulty understanding that in other parts of the world, when you are mixed, you are recognized, like you are in Africa, like you are in Europe. We are recognized. In Africa, like I said before, but because you didn't watch, and I know you won't watch this one, I am colored. I am an ethnic group that is recognized for being mixed for many generations. And when I'm in England, there was actually an other, and I always ticked an other because I'm not an African and I'm not a full European, but I am recognized. Remember, the rest of the world is a salad bowl. We all mix. You're nothing but a melting pot that is fucked up. I'd rather live in a salad bowl than a melting pot like you live in. I've come to realize why you all do this. It's because you don't have community. You don't have a community of mixed people. Where I am actually quite privileged, and so are many colored people and mixed people in our parts of the world. I have community. I've had community since the day I was born. So in Southern Africa, like I've said several times, but you're too stupid to understand, that we have our own community, generations after generations after generation of mixed people. So we know who we are. Not my fault you don't know who you are. And in general, Americans don't actually know who they are, and that's not our problem, that's your problem. So stop sort of just using us and telling us what we are. Work out who the fuck you are. It's not my problem. I don't know who you are.
All right, we are gonna go into the stitches because a lot of people got something to say about this. She says she is mixed, she is colored. Let her keep being colored. Let her keep being mixed. So let's get into the stitches and see what people are saying about this. So straight up here we'll go.
Mixed Americans, I'm finding, just have such difficulty understanding.
You think we're the ones having difficulty? I cannot even fathom the amount of internalized colonization that it requires to get on Dr. Umar's internet with dreadlocks and melanin and say you are not black. I mean, if you want to go ahead and claim other, go ahead. But don't claim it just because you're mixed. Africa is the most mixed continent on the planet. East Africans are more genetically different from West Africans than Europeans are from Asians. Now, race is a social construct, so in order to be black, you need to be mentally black, not just biologically. But don't claim other and blame it on the biology. I agree with mixed people that say they're mixed and they're not white. But if you're mixed and you have African ancestry, biologically, you just as black as the rest of us.
So this isn't my normal deal, but I am half white and half black, but I'm a black man. And I think the point that you're working on is like recognize I've been categorized as a black man. I didn't get any say in it. In every colonized country in the world with people who end up looking like me, we're going to England, Australia, New Zealand, places like that, have at least one generation that was stolen. In Britain, it was after World War II. In Vietnam, it was after the Vietnam War. In Australia, it was in I want to say the 1900s to the 1970s. These are people who are ethnically more than one thing, but racially relegated to one thing. Where I'm from, you could say, oh, well, you're half white. Okay, but I can't go to the Klan meetings. I mean, and as far as being like a salad bowl or a mixing bowl and all of that, while America has extreme deficiencies in racial education and racial equity, it is no different than every other marginalized country, every other country that has suffered some form of demoralization through colonization. Everyone. So I hope you don't fall off that, colored high horse you sit on. You might bump your head and learn something. But people in America, we don't get a lot of say, especially if you look like me. And heaven forbid you're darker than me. You definitely don't get no say in what you are. What makes it even worse is people from other countries who look like me or darker than me come here and instantly have a dislike of me because I'm American, even though culturally we move the world, even though fiscally we created this country. Not just that, but the black diaspora in America is often somewhere between 20 and 30% white, not because mommy and daddy chose to be together, but somewhere in their ancestry, they're 30% white because they're a product of rape. So yeah, I guess you could say we're not colored. We are what we are. But you should come visit and check us out. It's kind of awesome. I mean, it kind of sucks, but it's kind of awesome. It's weird, but feel free.
I love this lady. She is sharp as a tack. And thank you to those who tagged me in this video. The breadth and reach of American representation in popular culture and in media, in the science world, has caused a really inappropriate application of American racial politics to the rest of the planet. And this is unhelpful because it only applies to the US. And even within the US, where it is relevant, it causes problems and it's damaging. And it comes down to an American obsession with color and pigmentation, forcing people into boxes depending on literally like a shade chart. And this supplements and justifies puritanical views either on the far left or the far right, wherein a person's worthiness for respect and support directly correlates to their pigmentation. It's so erasive. What white means in the US is almost meaningless anywhere else in the world. What black means in the US cannot be applied universally either. And what happens is everyone else in between, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Middle Eastern Americans, either get completely erased and swept under the rug or just get lumped in with white people, literally just because of skin color, eye color, hair color. It is gross. Forcing people into boxes because of what they look like is damaging no matter what your intention is. And if the intention is to understand and respect somebody's history, somebody's culture, the context with which they exist in, where they have come from, you have to listen to them. Instead of looking at someone saying, this is what you look like to me, so that's what you are, and you have to behave accordingly, get in your box. That's not diversity, that is prescriptive existence. I grew up in the US within an immigrant household. I am part of an ethnic minority. And although I haven't lived in the US for a long time, when I was still in the US, I would have people, especially colleagues and people in the workplace, speculating about my race all the time because they didn't know how to treat me. Fucked up. I remember once when I was still living in the US, I worked at Starbucks in my early 20s in a very, very white Mormon part of Southern California. And one of my coworkers found out my background and they were like, oh, I thought you were some kind of Mexican. Now, the group I'm actually part of doesn't warrant any more respect in their eyes. But anyway, stop imposing American-centric views on culture and race on the rest of the world. And if you're not American, don't get sucked into that.
Why is it Americans, especially mixed Americans, I'm finding, just have such difficulty understanding that in other parts of the world, when you are mixed, you are recognized, like you are in Africa?
Hi, Miss Lioness with the main two. I am not trying to fight with you. I could not really tag your video in which you were talking to somebody about you being a colored and you're not being African. And I thought I'd share my great-grandfather's story. My great-grandfather was a Cape Colored. In fact, that's where I got to do all my Sangoma rituals for him. He was a Cape Colored. And there was nothing else he hated more than being called a Cape Colored. There was nothing else he loathed more than being called a colored. He grew up in those group homes because unlike most coloreds, his mother was white and his father was black. And he was taken by the system and he was raised in the system where he faced a lot of abuse via white males and females. Okay, and so he felt like he had totally been forgotten by both sides, the black side and the white side, and he hated them both equally. He felt like being called a colored was the worst thing that can ever happen to a human being. He loathed it. He loathed it so much that when he was in his 20s, he divorced his colored wife and left up children. I don't think they were married, so I'm lying. He left his colored woman with children and went to find his father and found him and married a black woman. And he literally said, I was breeding the out of my blood, to the point that I always say I am his greatest dream, and I am indeed. So while I'm sure there are a lot of coloreds who are very proud of that label, and they feel they've got something to benefit from it. Let me just tell you, since I'm a Sangoma anyway, that label will no longer exist in about 10 to 15 years in South Africa. Yeah, they're kicking it out. Yeah, it's going to be removed. And in Zimbabwe, it doesn't exist. It hasn't existed since 1980. It's not on any birth certificate, just to let you know. It's not written on any birth certificate that you're a colored. It's not considered a race. They just get, babies that are biracial just get an ID number. They don't get a racial clarification. And South Africa is going to follow suit in about 20 to 50 years. But watching you made me realize how much this is truly a culture and how much it's going to hurt you when South Africa removes that label. But for my great-grandfather, it would have been the best thing that has ever happened.